You stand at the edge of Sierra Blanca, Texas, a lone figure against the backdrop of a vast arid wilderness. The sun, already a harsh glow in the sky, promises a day of unrelenting heat. Ahead lays I-10, a desolate, cracked ribbon of asphalt stretching eastward toward Van Horn. Your journey of 27 miles through the unforgiving landscape of West Texas begins. Your backpack is heavy with essential trade goods. A 20-pack of copper bullion rounds, a live chicken in a covered cage, a 12-pack of unused AA batteries, fresh fig cuttings in a moist pouch, antibacterial adhesive bandages, a handheld shortwave radio, and a sealed pack of 12 new socks for girls. You also carry a 5-inch knife and a handgun for self-defense. Yet, the heaviest burden you carry is water. Precious, life-sustaining water. Each step under the blazing sun draws sweat from your body, sapping your strength and the moisture that preserves you. The summer heat presses down like a malevolent force. You pace yourself, knowing that to rush is to invite exhaustion and danger. Your throat grows parched and you take careful sips from your canteen, mindful of the long hours ahead. The asphalt shimmers in the distance, a mirage of salvation, like the looming mountains ahead of you that remain frustratingly out of reach. The day grows hotter as you progress, and the air feels like a furnace blast. The weight of your pack becomes almost unbearable. You adjust the straps, feeling the rough texture of the cage on your back containing the chicken, a bizarre but valuable trade item in these desperate times. What brought you to this point? Your family back at the 20 acres you call home is in need of medical supplies and items for water purification, if the place you're traveling to has any. The things you've brought with you are things you don't need, but you hope that someone else will. Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush snaps your attention. Your hand instinctively moves to the gun at your side. A coyote, lean and hungry, eyes you warily before slinking away. You know that the predators here, both animal and human, are always watching, always waiting for a moment of weakness. The road ahead is long and fraught with obstacles. A steep incline tests your endurance, each step a struggle against gravity and fatigue. The sun begins its descent behind you, casting a long shadow of your profile on the ground before you, which offers you no respite from the heat, though you are happy to give your eyes some rest from the glare you suffered through earlier in the day. As dusk approaches, the temperature drops. Night falls and the stars blaze. The road is now a path of silver under the moonlight, guiding you onward. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant howl of a coyote and the crunch of your boots on gravel. Your body aches, but you dare not rest for long. The journey must continue. Then, what must be hours later, you feel a chill in the air, and the sound of wind picking up. You pause to don a thin shirt jacket, prepared for the desert's impending swing from scorching heat to chill cold. In the whistling wind of night, your thoughts wander to the dangers that lie unseen. Bandits and raiders patrol these highways, preying on the unwary. Sometimes they lay in wait. Your senses are on high alert. Every shadow is a potential threat. The weight of the knife and handgun is a comfort and a reminder that you are not defenseless. You mindlessly finger both as you walk along. The final miles are a blur of exhaustion and determination. As you crest the top of the hills that lead toward Van Horn, your legs move as if on autopilot, driven by sheer willpower. At long last, you see the outskirts of Van Horn, and it's all downhill, literally, from here. The small town, or what remains of it, a beacon of safety and rest, draws you in. The journey has tested your limits, but you survived. The weight of your pack is a burden no longer, but as you unloop it from your shoulders and drop it to your side gently, you wonder, will you be able to make the trades you desire? Hello, fellow mutants. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're delving into an intense post-apocalyptic survival scenario to put your skills and grit to the test. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of Sierra Blanca, Texas, with nothing but the harsh, arid wilderness stretching out before you. Your mission? It seems simple. To trek 27 miles along I-10 to the small town of Van Horn, armed with essential supplies and a determination to survive. In this video, we'll break down the key elements you'll need to consider for such an arduous journey. We'll cover the vital supplies you'll need to pack, from life-sustaining water to valuable trade goods like copper bullion rounds. We'll discuss the environmental hazards, potential wildlife threats, and other dangers posed by other survivors in a world where civilization has crumbled. But survival isn't limited to the deserts of West Texas. The principles we'll discuss can be adapted to other extreme environments. Imagine navigating the freezing cold where staying warm and finding food in a barren, icy landscape are paramount, or trekking through fertile lands where competition with other survivors for resources is fierce, and every other encounter could mean life or death. Even in the urban jungles of city ruins where dangers lurk around every corner and resources are hidden amongst the rubble, the strategies of preparation, resource management, and vigilance remain crucial. So, strap in, stay sharp, and let's get started. One thing people overlook when they consider themselves surviving through an apocalyptic event is just how much food and water it actually takes to get from point A to point B. And this, of course, will change depending on the environment, but in the sweltering heat of West Texas, a man of 6 foot would need significant water to stay hydrated. The general rule of thumb is to drink about a half a liter of water per hour of moderate activity in the heat. Given the strenuous nature of the journey I've depicted here, you can expect to need at least 1 liter per hour. The distance of 27 miles and a walking speed of about 3 miles an hour, that would take approximately 9 hours. Thus, you'd need around 9 liters of water for the entire journey. However, considering the extreme conditions and the weight of your pack, you'd probably want to carry an additional reserve. A total of 12 liters of water would be your target, allowing for rest breaks and potential delays. We won't get too much into food, but for subsistence, you'll require high-energy, lightweight foods that can withstand the heat. Caloric needs can vary, but on average, you might burn around 500 calories per hour of hiking. Over a 9-hour trek, that amounts to about 4,500 calories. You could start with things like dried fruits and nuts, which are high in calories and are easy to carry. Energy bars, if you can find any, that aren't extremely expired. These would be compact and calorie-dense. And jerky, which is protein-rich and durable. Your pack also will have trade goods, which you'll need to pick up the supplies that you're looking to get, otherwise why make the journey at all? Your backpack is laden with some potential trade items we discussed briefly, and each has its own value in the sparse, barter-driven world of West Texas. A 20-pack of 1-ounce copper bullion rounds. These shiny tokens of pure copper could catch the eye of any trader, particularly those looking for metal for crafting, or who value a potential currency in them. A chicken in a covered cage. A live chicken can be a valuable commodity, offering the promise of fresh eggs and, eventually, meat. A few packs of unused batteries, 3 years old. While aged, these batteries could still hold a charge and could be precious for anyone needing to power some essential device. A moist sack of fresh fig cuttings. In this arid land, the promise of new plant life is a treasure, especially in something as versatile as the fig. Fig is an interesting plant in that although it appears to have seeds inside, and there are unformed seeds, they need a very particular wasp to fertilize them, so in general, the only way to propagate a fig is by cutting off a piece of the fig and then planting it into soil until it takes root. Hence the fig cuttings. A pack of antibacterial adhesive bandages. Medical supplies are always in demand, and these bandages could be a lifesaver. By antibacterial, they would have some kind of agent. I discussed in a previous video that there are some adhesive bandages that actually have copper in them as an antimicrobial component. A 6-pack of new socks for girls. Or I should say, 6 pairs. Clothing, especially new and clean, would always be a valued commodity after the apocalypse. For your weapons and defense, these of course will add to your weight as well, and a 5-inch knife is essential for survival, defense, and just plain utility. My personal favorite is my Bark River Boon 2. A handgun, a critical tool for self-defense against both human and animal threats. A simple .22 caliber handgun can provide some level of self-defense and also be useful for varmint hunting. Now, let's consider your water expenditure calculation. Carrying all these items along with your personal gear will increase your water needs. The combined weight of your backpack will slow your pace and increase your exertion, thus requiring more water. Assuming an additional weight of approximately 20 pounds for your trade goods and personal defense items, your water requirement may increase by 20 to 30%. Therefore, plan to consume about 15 liters of water for the entire journey. This takes us back to another consideration. What if you didn't plan for the weight of the water? Where the weight of water was not explicitly factored into the detailed breakdown of a load, let's consider the complete weight you'd be carrying and its implications on your journey. If you have 15 liters of water, that's 33 pounds. Now, look at the rest of these weights. Your total weight calculation, adding everything up, including the water, is about 48, or roughly just less than 50 pounds. Carrying a load of nearly 50 pounds will increase your exertion significantly, making the journey more strenuous. As I mentioned before, the weight of water can be overlooked and is something you must consider, especially in a climate where you need to consume a lot of water. Also, don't assume that even if you live in the land of milk and honey, that you can just walk down to the nearby stream and drink from it. That could cause you to get sick as well, so while you may be able to avoid carrying as much water, you would definitely want to have something such as a life straw or other water filtration device to ensure that you don't get sick drinking the local water, or factor in time to boil the water into your journey. The additional weight, of course, will also slow your pace. Instead of 3 miles an hour, you might manage closer to 2.5 miles per hour. This adjustment can increase your journey time from 9 hours to approximately 11 hours. The increased exertion also means you'll burn more calories. Instead of 4,500, you might need closer to 5,500 calories. With all the final adjustments in mind, you'll need to carry approximately 56 pounds. This increased load will necessitate more frequent breaks and a slower pace, extending your journey time, again, to about 11 hours, and increasing your calorie needs to, again, around 5,500 calories. This scenario underscores the importance of thorough preparation and the considerable challenge of trekking through the West Texas heat. This is not something to be done for fun, and is something that you would do. It also highlights the importance of bringing things that are lightweight and easy to trade. Things that are portable stores of value. Now, of course, this could be the time in the video where I harp on bringing copper bullion, silver bullion rounds, and such things. And I would agree that those are good things to carry. But there are even more lightweight items that could potentially be just as valuable, such as seeds for planting. Extremely lightweight. No matter what you bring for trade, you would still need to carry significant water. In a post-apocalyptic scenario, the journey from Sierra Blanca to Van Horn along I-10 would present numerous challenges beyond the mere physical exertion and resource management. There's something else we should consider. Let's look at some potential dangers and difficulties you might face. Well, we already know about the extreme weather, and that meaning the scorching heat of West Texas that swings to a freezing nighttime cold. Terrain obstacles, of course, could be there, sharp rocks, steep inclines, and other natural barriers. But wildlife could present a danger. There could be more predatory animals in a world where human activity has dwindled. Animals like coyotes, snakes, and even larger predators, such as mountain lions, might be bolder and more dangerous or start to repopulate certain areas. It's not as well known, but there are bears in Texas. Insect infestations, such as swarms of scorpions, mosquitoes, and biting and stinging insects, large ants and such, could be a nuisance and a health hazard. But perhaps the most dangerous of all would be human encounters. Hostile, desperate survivors might view you as a threat or a resource. Encounters could quickly turn violent, requiring you to defend yourself and your supplies. If you were at the tail end of your journey and exhausted, you might be ripe for the picking. If bandits wanted to lay in wait, they could do so on the outskirts of a settlement, waiting for people coming in from a long journey. Organized groups could be patrolling the highways, looking to steal from lone travelers such as yourself. These groups might be heavily armed and ruthless. Your simple sidearm might be far from adequate in defending yourself. Scarcity of resources. Water sources other than the ones you carry en route could be a gamble. In fact, I would say don't plan on them at all. If you were to find some, contaminated water would be another risk, as I mentioned before, potentially leading to illness, especially stagnant water sitting out in the blazing sun. Food shortages. While you have packed food, and while you might run across something like a prickly pear plant on the path, scavenging for edible plants or hunting small game could be necessary, but also risky, as it would take you potentially far off the road and add to your travel time. Health and medical issues. Injuries. A twisted ankle, a deep cut, or a broken bone could turn deadly without proper medical supplies. So while you're out looking for medical supplies for your family, you might end up being the one who needs them the most, and be useless and never return. Infections, even a minor wound, could become serious without antibiotics. The bandages you carry are essential but limited. It's something often overlooked in hero fantasy fiction, but getting in any fight at all could be risky, simply from the fact that you could find yourself perishing from a small wound, even if you were the victor of the encounter. Psychological strain. Isolation and loneliness. While I don't personally feel this myself, the mental toll of traveling alone and not knowing the situation with your family back far, far away could lead to anxiety, depression, or even, with enough exhaustion, hallucinations. Constant vigilance and the need to always be on guard against threats could lead to exhaustion and mistakes. Navigation challenges could be a concern if you are in an Arctic or a densely wooded area. On the road from Sierra Blanca to I-10, you simply need follow the road. However, without clear landmarks or reliable maps, you could easily get lost. If you're crossing the desert without a road, the landscape could be disorienting, especially if landmarks are few and far between, though you could use the sun passing overhead or the stars as a guide. Natural and man-made obstacles might force you to take longer or more perilous routes. Perhaps the harshest reality of all, however, is that no one wants your trades. While you've packed a variety of items for trade in this scenario, there's no guarantee your trading partners will have anything you need available, or they won't want anything you have to trade. For example, they might have an abundance of chickens milling about their settlement, making the one on your back, in rough shape from the journey no less, a bad bet, unless you can convince someone to swap another for genetic variation. Similarly, what if there are traders with an abundance of copper and other useful metals being managed by a town smith? Or even bandages, and your other trade items you thought would be valuable. What if these were spread around several trade booths at your approach, and nothing you carry is particularly enticing to anyone for trade? Worse yet, you might not have anything to trade of value for the water you need for your return trip, besides your sidearm, which of course would leave you defenseless for the journey home. In summary, traversing the West Texas desert in a post-apocalyptic scenario is fraught with peril. You must be prepared for extreme weather, wildlife threats, hostile human encounters, resource scarcity, and health challenges. Mental resilience is as crucial as physical endurance. Every step must be calculated, every decision weighed against potential risks. The journey is not just a test of survival skills, but of your will to endure in a world where civilization has crumbled and the wilderness reigns supreme. Well, that's all I had for today, fellow mutants. Until next time, it's Copper Mutant, signing out.